When you trust Ferguson Roof Systems to replace your roof, we go the extra mile to protect your home and property. On every job, we deploy durable netting to protect your home's exterior and landscaping. It's just one more reason why you should call Ferguson Roof Systems today.
Hey, it is Saturday night, a little after 9:30. Let's get on with it, shall we? I know why you're here. I know why I'm here. I've been looking at weather data for the last hour and a half, and my head hurts. So, oh man, this is going to be one of those. But you got to the right place to get all the details. See you out there on Facebook. My friend Byron Christie's in the house tonight. Let's see. Angela's here. Jennifer. Jared. I know, man. You want... you want panic mode down there in Dallas. I get you. Thanks for the stars and the viewing here for tonight. Taylor's in the house. Shannon, of course. She was quite excited about the snow possibilities coming in for the state. She wants to get slammed with snow. I don't blame her. It's not a bad thing to get in the wintertime, right? Guys on YouTube, always thanks for checking in. Jim and Prince of Rain. I love you guys' name. Thanks for coming in on YouTube. Also on Twitter tonight and on Rumble. All 4 platforms. We are good to go. And as always, you can watch the replays when all these end because each one of these platforms will save it for you. And I do upload the final version to Gab until Gab gets TV going. Well, they have Gab TV, but until they get the live version of Gab TV. Then I will be doing that live there as well. Try to reach as many of you as I can with the good news. All right, also Facebook. If you've been under a rock, man, look, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So if you're getting notified either late or not at all, you gotta see the video I posted. I reshared it yesterday. It's in 2 minutes. It's how to fix that problem. But until then, you can always, or even as an additional, just to make sure, you can always tap the link I just posted in the comment section on getting your weather updates that way through your direct message. From me to you, and that way you don't miss out. Now, if you do opt in that direction, you will have to re-opt in ever so often, or otherwise it'll cut you out. So that's just a workaround that I came up with. Cost me a lot of money. You're like, what? Yeah, because you got to build a bot, and then you have to have this third-party software run it, and you have to follow all these rules. You have no idea what it's like to be a content creator. It was so much easier when there was only one platform. It was just one simple thing. You press the button and you go. Now, you have no idea the stuff that's out there. And everybody wants their cut. So anyway, you can work on that as a workaround, or you can just visit my video, the 2-minute tutorial on how to fix your problem on Facebook. All right. The rest of you are good to go. YouTube behaves itself. Rumble's now in the game on notifying when to go live, etc., etc. And then Twitter also does a good job. All right, so now, out there currently, of course, we've got a little bit of cloudiness still, kind of hit and miss out across the state today. Did see some sunshine. It did help to warm temperatures up a little bit. Of course, now they're cooling back down. We did get some decent rain. If you lived in far northern Oklahoma around Ponca City, Kay County, up around 2/10 to 3/10. Otherwise, models really overestimated the amount of rainfall that would fall. I mean, it was only enough really to get your windshield wet, and that was about it. So it didn't do anything good for us at all. But this system really wasn't one to talk about for Oklahoma. It's mostly into Kansas anyway, especially with the snowfall amounts with it. Now out there currently tonight, like I said, we've got 30s and 40s across the state. The Panhandle a little bit cooler as north winds filter in behind that. So some slightly colder air will be working its way in for tonight across the state, but nothing like what we're, could be seeing. Now, our focus here in the jet stream, showing up in the water vapor channel, the satellite loop, shows our next little system right here spiraling around. The one that moved through is right here, and it's like I said, it's pretty weak. This one's already got a nice structure with it, so it's much bigger, much more potent. It'll be the one that gets everybody's attention. So let's just show you a quick broad view, and then I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to talk details. Just to let you know what's coming our way. If you watched me a couple of Fridays ago, I told you a big pattern change coming. It's going to get really chaotic. We've got a potential for a lot of storm systems to sneak up on us. And sometimes you don't get a week notice. You get like maybe 2 or 3 days because the models will flip-flop so much. Here's an example of that. So again, today we moved that one out of here. Let's go into the weekend, the weekend to the beginning of the week. And there you go, is that next little system. I say little, that's a big system. Moves on by, and then after that, let's go into toward the end of the month, the 29th. Look at that, it's another little system that comes our way with some more snow and ice and everything else you can run with it toward the end of the month. I also alluded to that a few days ago. And then we've got on the follow-up system after that a couple of days later, and then another system after that a few days after that. So again, the signals are there, the noise is there, it's going to be fun, and it's actually what I live for, something challenging and to track. All right, so let's take a look at the jet stream pattern here in the upper levels of the atmosphere following the vorticity. Watch the big storm system from the west coast drop down across the Four Corners area of the Rockies, then spiral around to western Texas, and then come right across North Texas into Oklahoma by Tuesday evening. Now, the track on this one. Other models had it kind of coming down and then kind of coming like this. This one had always been to north. It actually started like this, and it finally came around all the other models like this, and then it started saying, you know what, nah, I like back where I had it. So it's going to go like this. Now, the far more northern track this one is the one of our better models for short-term forecasting. As long as this path pans out, we get better opportunities for snow in Oklahoma. So it is a huge dramatic difference in where this upper level low in this track will be. I cannot stress that enough because it will totally hose you as a forecaster. These lows, when they zip down, if they come a little bit too far south, say down here in, say, the Dallas-Fort Worth there, North Texas region, we got a problem in Oklahoma. If they come up north into south central Oklahoma like this one's going to do, we're in good shape. If it's somewhere in between, it's dicey. And most of them have kind of been somewhere in between. Dicey and uneasy, unnerving. All right, let's take a look at below that layer, one more layer down in the atmosphere. This is where the positive lift and all the lifting of the atmosphere will create the precipitation goes. So again, the brighter the colors, the stronger the lift. As we head into Tuesday morning, so down here in southwest Oklahoma and into Texas, you can see all the red turning into purple. That is a heck of a lot of lift. Here's mid-morning, again through most of Oklahoma and down to Texas. Now this is stupid lift down here, so this is kind of like big-time thunderstorms, probably some severe weather down in this region. So that's a ton of lift with that. But on the northern fringe, comes in right here in the south central Oklahoma. All right, so then we go into the mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock. All of a sudden we have new generation of lift here on the backside of the developing upper low. Now keep in mind the upper low, like I said earlier, has shifted a little bit more to the north. So it's kind of right along the Red River here, which is good for us if you want snow. All right, let's go into the next, oops, I went back. Let's go the next one here, right there. So the evening hours, a lot more lift now in this vicinity. See some purple showing up. That's what that tells me, is that the low has strengthened as it crosses over Oklahoma, which is really going to help to crank out heavy precipitation. Now this low ends up tracking from this path to this path here. And the best lift in this particular case, as these lows develop, will kind of be in a comma head shape behind it, right? So as this path moves across, as you can kind of imagine here, comma head path between the two, that's kind of your best real dynamic lift within this as it bottoms out and strengthens. And you can see that's quite heavier over eastern Oklahoma. So what that should get your brain thinking with your critical thinking skills, using that prefrontal cortex. Aaron, are you telling me there's going to be probably a lot more precipitation around here? That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it going to be colder? Let's take a look here in a minute. All right, that does zoom off, though, by midnight into northern Arkansas and Missouri, and then it's out of here. So it is a Tuesday system. First part of the day, maybe a little bit more rain, but it should transition over to snow. I still have to caution, as excited as I get, the icon does not lie. So if you look at the icon, what do you see here on the map? You see a mixture of blue and green. It says, you know what? It's an easy call here in the blue because that's under the center of the upper level low. You're definitely going to have cold enough temperatures that drop down from top to bottom as you cool the column in the atmosphere. However, the surrounding areas you generate farther out from that, it's not a guarantee. You might end up being a very cold rain at 35, 36 degrees versus snow. So the icon still stresses this is not a done deal. And I have to unfortunately concur. But I'm still going to side on the snow just because some of the other things I'm going to show you. But keep this in the back of your mind. This is right here what makes the weather forecast community a joke. Because they will call for Armageddon. And if you didn't pay attention to all the data, you will see that if you overpromise, you can easily underdeliver. But let's see what the NAM overpromises. Now, I will tell you this, the NAM is not a snow model, but it has other things we're going to take a look at. So here's a look at the timing. It can at least get the timing right because it does have the lift right in the atmosphere. So there's that wave of snow moving into the Panhandle region as we head into 6 a.m. on Tuesday. And that does move into western and southwestern Oklahoma. Some light rain here, central and southern Oklahoma breaking out. Now, by noontime, it does have heavy snow, but also a mixture of rain. And I can buy the rain-snow mixture. I can easily see it going back and forth for a while in the morning hours to early afternoon because the profile for this area, if you see here, we're at 36 degrees at the surface. So yeah, snowing below, but once you get down to the bottom, it'll have a tendency to try to melt last minute. So it is right on the border. And I detest these because honestly, it's not an easy call. It can go one way or the other. It's like literally flipping a coin of the temperature that you need to get the snow to not be rain. That's so irritating. If it was a couple of degrees cooler, it wouldn't even be a challenge. It'd be easy peasy. All right, so here we go. There's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's got snow across the state. There's 6 o'clock in the morning. There's 9 o'clock. Do you see most of the state in blue? Like I said, if you're a NAM lover, this is your model. 3 o'clock in the morning. And then there's midnight, some flurries into Wednesday morning. And then it's kind of out of here. It kind of tapers off to nothing. Now, if it's just all rain, let's just say it is the biggest April Fool's joke in January, and it's just all rainfall. It's a good amount of rain. 0.7, that's almost an inch of rain here in Oklahoma City. Down here, 1+ inches, all of southwest Oklahoma, south central, and southeast. So if, for whatever reason, it is not snow at all, at least we get moisture in an environment where you're normally pretty dry. Now, let's talk about temperatures. This is a key thing here. Now, tomorrow, not a big deal. Tomorrow's, sunny, Sunday, boring, some clouds off and on. Temperatures in the 40s to near 50. It's kind of like today. Now, as we head on into Monday, all right, so we're going to start you out in the morning hours. So there's 31 degrees. So we have some drier, cooler air that does filter in from Sunday on into Monday morning. So that kind of starts off the coolness. But we will rebound a little bit into the day. On Monday, and then we're back to the 50s, so it's a pretty decent day for Monday. All right, now Tuesday, we've kind of exhausted our cold air, so now it's just, what are we left with? Well, we're left with 36 degrees in Oklahoma City. All right, now as we head into the morning hours, watch this area turn dark green and then blue as the atmosphere cools down because it is snowing at the mid and upper levels and is falling into that warmer layer air at the bottom, but cooling it down to at least 33 degrees. So Oklahoma City at noontime. Remember when I said it could be easily rain and snow mixture? Because right now the model's got 35 degrees, so I can go with that. Now, at some point, it snows so heavy that it overcomes that last few hundred feet off the ground, cools it down enough to around 33 degrees where it starts to accumulate, and then we get some good heavy snow. And you see that 33 degree temperature holds at 6 o'clock on into 9 o'clock, and then midnight, even colder, some blue showing up, which means close to freezing itself. And then by morning, we're still kind of holding about where we are. Now, that does mean, this is good news, that a lot of the roadways through not all the event, but at least beginning, etc., should be pretty good for most of your Tuesday. It's as we head into Tuesday afternoon is when I can't promise anymore because if we get too heavy a rate of snowfall, it will overcome the melting from the ground. Now, how much snow? This is always the fun maps to see, right? And they change dramatically as you've been watching from every time you see me, you're seeing different numbers, right? That's just the nature of the game. They're horrible at snowfall forecast totals, but it is fun to look at. So here's the American model. It's got 6 inches here in Oklahoma City, 9 inches Muskogee, close to 10 inches out here and down here in south. Take home, heaviest track of snow is along the upper level low in this path here. That's your take home. All right, regardless of what the final amount is. What the other take home is that you're not going to get a whole lot up here across the northern, third of the state because of that track of the low. The NAM model, similar, a little bit more action down here in southwest, not quite as high on the numbers. And the European model, which it's funny because sometimes it can sometimes lead a good trend, then chicken out later on only to come back. Usually the American model does that, but here it's actually been tapering down each run little by little. We'll see what happens if it comes around. My guess is, though, it's having a hard time deciding as whether or not it's going to be a lot of cold rain mixed in with the snow, and that's therefore the snow totals are much lower. And it only has, still in the same area. Again, that's the take home. Anything heavier and significant, south central, southern Oklahoma, far northwestern Texas. Yes, a few flakes of snow mixed in probably in this event down there in Dallas. I'm not going to promise you anything more than that. Definitely no ice. Your temperatures won't be that cold. And your best bet is probably in the early part of the evening for that before all the lift moves away from you. Anyway, so there's a look at the European model for that. So obviously amounts much lower. Now, there were some midday runs of both of those models, and they didn't really change any. So I want to kind of show you they're still kind of the same idea, same vicinity. But it does show you that down here in North Texas, Northwest Texas, you do have a little bit of light snow mix in, and a lot of this will probably even melt. So I don't expect a lot of it to hang on the ground that long. Okay, confidence level in the model data itself. The European has been stout. I mean, it really hasn't wavered. There's only a couple of its 50 runs that say no snow at all or very little. Most of it has quite substantial snow here in Oklahoma City, for example, with a 4-inch on the control. If you look at a flat plane of that same data, all this you see on the map is all snow, so it's not even questioning itself. The only thing it does is it plays with the amounts. If you do look at snowfall probabilities, so this is a fun thing in the world of weather. I actually detest probabilities. If I tell you there's a 5% chance of snow or rain, you're like, dude, okay, so it's not going to snow or rain, right? And then it snows or rain, and then I can say, hey, it was a 5% chance. You see what I'm saying? It's garbage. But I get it because of statistics, and it's a way to tell you uncertainty. All right? That's the only reason for those numbers. I like to say yes and no, and how much, and where and when. I try to get that specific just because there's too many interpretations on what this percentage means and all that stuff. All right. So snowfall over 3 inches. All right. This is the European. Remember, this is a very excited model about this whole event. I want to show you its own confidence level. About 50% here in central Oklahoma. Much higher here in southeast, northwestern Arkansas, south central Oklahoma, and here in Texas. All right. So in other words, the model itself, although it keeps going gangbusters in a lot of these runs, it's not that confident you're going to see that much snow. If I look at 1% of snow, 1 inch of snow, all right, over an inch, so like 1 to 2, oh yeah, it's like piece of cake. No problem, I got this. You want to go over 6 inches of snow. Now, the confidence in the model dropping substantially here in the 20s. Here in northwest Arkansas, it's still going good. 65 to 70% confidence level. It's going to get some good snow up in the Ozarks. Over 12 inches, yeah, see, 2% chance. So we could pretty much assume, at least according to the European, no one's getting a foot of snow. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because as meteorologists, we look at everything. And when I told you I was busy for an hour and a half, now you know why. I'm just showing you just a small sample of stuff I look at. Now, if you were to blend all the models together, take a very conservative approach, include a lot of the melting, etc. Look how boring this map is. 1 to 2 inches of snow across the state. That's lame. Even some flurries way down there, maybe to North Texas and Dallas area. And that's it. So that is the most conservative. So the answer with that is, your take home again is, yes, it's going to snow. All right. It's just the question of how much and the timing as far as the start time, right? And again, I think mid-afternoon for central Oklahoma, and then it's much more likely than, say, the morning. I think it's a little bit more rain mixed in too much at the early set. Now, we're not talking about just snow with these changes. I'm going to show you a ensemble mean map of the jet stream, but different in how you look at it, and I'll explain it to you. All right, so we go through these lines and these little rivers of air, and this is a jet stream that comes around, okay, like this. It just goes in this fashion. These guys here that are in the green and blue are lows. These guys here that are underneath the red are highs, all right? So highs build in, they kind of nudge the jet stream up north, and it comes down back into the low, and then back off we go. So what happens? If you want Katie bar the doors, bring down the Arctic polar bears, you want this high to nudge itself up across Alaska toward the pole, and then you want a low like this just to take over in this region and maybe even backdoor down a little bit into this nation. That's what it takes to get some really good stuff. So let's see what happens. Put this into motion. I'm going to stop it when we about get there. All right, so now we're in the 29th. Let's see. Let's stop here at the 28th. What do we have here? It's not a failure to communicate. I've communicated quite well that we've got some fun stuff coming. So clear the map for you. So we've got our big high here. We've got our big low here. And now the jet stream taps into that cold air. It helps to change the pattern to bring it all the way back down the low, and off it goes. So what this does is it allows that cold air to cross polar flow to come down here and spill into the U.S., and then we get our fun stuff once again with temperatures into the single digits. And that pattern holds for a while. So here's an example, potential numbers, because like I said, this will change, but it kind of gives you the idea. And that's what we had to do the last time we had an Arctic outbreak, right? So let's go to the 28th. Boy, it's mild, it's nice, 50s, kind of a deal. And then the 29th hits, and the Arctic front arrives. Might be preceded by like a polar front first, but it's going to drop us here into the 20s. Then for the 29th, and on the 30th, more cold air spills in, and all of a sudden now we're into the single digits and teens for the end of the month for temperatures in the afternoon. That's pretty cold. Now, obviously, we'll have wind chills with that too, so it'll be pretty miserable at the end of January. Again, assuming this pattern stays the way it looks, and it's been looking like this for 2 weeks now. Okay, so we go into the 31st. We're into the 1st. There's more single digits in there. So again, it's just reinforcing shots of cold air that keep coming down. We're kind of stuck here in the teens. There's some 20s, so hey, we got a balmy day there sneaking in. Right back between, we have more single digits, more teens. This is now on the 4th of February. Even some below zero numbers sneaking in there in that picture. Here's some more temperatures below zero in Kansas. In that purple here, and that's Ponca City, by the way, at -9. And that's on the 5th of February. And look at this. Now we're into the 6th. And we finally moderate a bit, almost to freezing here across southern Oklahoma. So there you go. There's a good full 7 to 10 day window where we're going to have, it appears to be, a nice little Arctic blast. So I warned you in the last few evenings to ignore anything after about the 28th, 29th, because there was too much uncertainty what was going to happen. They're finally starting to show you what could potentially be here. So, for example, this model here has a 0 degree morning low on February 5th, really cold stuff. It also has a little bit of snow, like we mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast. There's a little system that sweep by, so there's a little bit more on the signal for snowfall that comes in. If you really want to have fun and go way out there, we'll go to, here's the date up here. So this is the 29th and 30th, right? And it goes all the way over here to the 5th of the month. Temperature right here, so that's into the teens, single digits. There's some 20s, teens, 20s, single digits, and like I said, back around close to 0 degrees. And then also for additional snowfall, these are snow signals here, and here, and these are mounts here, and here. And let's see, they just do the accumulated precip. Oh, they do accumulated snow up here. There we go. So at this particular case, of course, it thinks we're going to get 7 inches of snow to 8 inches this first system. It throws in a couple of inches here with this guy toward the end of the month. Looks like another inch after that, around the 3rd or so, and around the 4th, another inch to 2 inches of snow. So again, that will all change. It's just the point is, we want to take home is that it's going to get cold, and we still got some opportunities for more of this wintry stuff. And there'll be days where these winds are cranking. I mean, there's 20 to 30 miles per hour wind gusts with this, as you get those little Arctic blasts that do come in. So it'll be quite windy also, looks like, for around the 30th with this front too. So it looks like 2 good Arctic blasts that come in here that bring in some nice winds with them. Whew. I'm exhausted. What about you? So I hope you enjoy this kind of stuff. You don't get this obviously on the 10 o'clock news. When I was doing the weather for 12 years in that environment, you had 3 minutes and 30 seconds roughly to get out your forecast. Sometimes they give you a little extra. You squeeze in 4 if it's a big weather day. If it was a light weather day, you get 2:30, 2:45. And so it's hard to tell you the big story and tell you everything that goes into it. We're in that environment. So I started doing this back in 2014, just giving you forecast discussions. We took a look at all the model data and teach you how to forecast and tell you what I look at. That way you can understand what's going on. You can be informed. You can act like, you can go be like the hero in your family. You can tell them exactly what's happening. Use big words. I mean, you can make them like say, what? So you can really impress them. Let me see here. I'm going to look at the see. Okay, so this wasn't in yet. Let me show you this real quick. Is this gone out far enough? Yes, it did. Okay. All right. Just real quick. And this is why you do want to pay attention to different data sources from different models, because each one has strengths and weaknesses. But this is the icon, the German model. Remember how I told you how a lot of rain mixed in? And the take home with that is a lot less snow here in this section of the state, whereas the best snow track is down south central to far northwest Texas and Arkansas. Okay, so the take home with this is the same as the others. That is, high amount of snow here into the Ozarks. So that's anywhere from 3 to, looks like maybe pockets of 5 inches of snow. Another area here it loves is south central Oklahoma. Same idea, 3 to maybe 5 inches of snow. Everywhere else in between, 1 to 2 to 3 for the most part. This includes some melting that's going to happen, the fact that temperatures are pretty close to freezing but not quite, etc., etc. So with this in mind, again, keep that in the back of your mind when you're hearing everybody say, we're going to get a foot of snow. And you say, well, did you factor in the exact track? Did you factor in that temperatures may hold right around 36 degrees for too long and having a lot of cold rain? Did you factor in the fact that ground temperatures are pretty warm? So you can act like a total snob and just, put them in their place. Or you can just tell them to watch me. I'll tell them what's going on. Anyway, so there's a look at all the latest data that's coming in so far for today. I don't think any other new model suite has come in since I've discussed it with you. That's going to cover that period, or did it? You know what? I talked long enough to let it come in. All right, this is the Canadian model. Look at that. Okay. It still likes, kind of like the NAM, it still likes the fact midday in the afternoon is cold enough for most snow, but you do see still a little bit of green mixed in there for rain. There was something I meant to show you earlier. I just now remembered. It was this. I know, right? Now we're getting real technical. Okay. So, I mentioned this, was it last night I think we did? So this kind of helps you on the timing. So this is noontime this is Oklahoma City, for example. This is noontime on the NAM model through 6 o'clock here, so like 9 o'clock here. All right, so there's your window of opportunity for precipitation that's significant. So from noon to like 9 p.m. The red is the mega, which means lift in the atmosphere. This is a loft. This is vertical in the atmosphere. It's up around 15,000 feet, etc. It crosses over the snow growth layer, which is this little west to east line right here in the pink. So it's all good. There's moisture here and all the green. So we've got the lift, got the moisture, got the snow growth layer all juxtaposed. The question is the actual air temperature of the surface. This little yellow number here represents that. This is a 0 degree line. In other words, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's not down at the ground we live. It's up around the 4,000 feet. But when the precipitation starts, it drops this cold line down here. This is noontime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Still, we're above freezing. Let me see. Can I get an actual number? We are plus 1. Boy, it's so hard to see. Can I see it if I do this? Let's find out. There's 0, 1. Right there. So we're 1 degree Celsius. All right, so it's still like 34 degrees Fahrenheit up through about lunchtime. And then that 0 gets really close to the ground especially once you get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of a deal. So that's why there's a lot more confidence that we'll get a lot less rain mixed in, a lot more pretty much transition to all snow with this type of an outcome. So I wanted to show you that was something I missed earlier, but another thing that I look at when you're trying to time things out and get specific, right? And we can do that better job of that tomorrow and Monday. Remember, we're still early in the event of looking at this stuff. It's Saturday, so this is just now kind of getting into our window where we get really detailed. All right, so here is the Canadian models, like I mentioned. It's got the rain and snow mixture. Let's see. Let's go noontime. Let's see what it does. 34 degrees over 32. So it's going to produce snow in the profile. All right, that's a good deal. I'm going to go over one time frame to 0Z, which is 6 o'clock. Let's see, 33 to 34, 7 o'clock. So good. It's going to have snow in the profile between noon and that frame. So the Canadian likes it to be just cold enough. Let me see what the track looks like compared to the NAM that came in a minute ago. All right, what does it do with the upper low? All right, so it still has the upper low here across Dallas-Fort Worth, and then it zips it through and broadens it out up here into northeastern or eastern Oklahoma. So that does mean, it should mean we have less snow accumulations here in Oklahoma City with that track. So let's take a look. Yeah, see, much less. And it has a lot of pockets where it has dry air and where temperatures didn't quite make it cold enough. Well, here's Dallas-Fort Worth. There's Tarrant County, and there's Dallas County. But you guys are just, for heavy, significant snow just to your west. Well, that's about as close as you can get. Otherwise, take home again this area, this region, and this region for the snow. So Oklahoma City, kind of on the northern fringe of all these models with anything decent. This has got about 3 inches of snow here for Oklahoma City. All right, the American model also came in, the newest version of that. So let's take a look here. And I'm going to go back to dynamics first, and then we'll look at the output. So the track for it. All right, its low is a little bit far more north of Dallas-Fort Worth, just by a county or two. Still South Red River. Moves in here to southeastern Oklahoma, so kind of similar to the Canadian. Then it kind of ramps up and then ends up kind of moving more in this vicinity. Kind of does a little jog there. All right, so we look at the transition type for the precipitation. Let's see what it does. Okay, so the morning hours still has that favorable snow, even some heavy snow out here in southwest Oklahoma. There's mid-morning, has cold rain for Oklahoma City on down south, and then by lunchtime it's got that transitioned over to snow here. Now in all of its runs, it has always been early in the transition to snow for Oklahoma City. In other words, the other models are later, like I said, noonish before things start to get cold enough. It just decides just to make it cold enough for the whole event. It's got 35 degrees though, so that's the output and the actual temperature not exactly meshing. I still leery on that one, so I'm going to still go with the mixture of rain and snow, even with this model output. But it does have that heavier snow signal here for southeast Oklahoma again. Boy, big storms down there in eastern Texas. Wraparound snow. Look at that, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then elsewhere over the state, and then moving out. So what does it do for the snow totals? Now remember, it's always been pretty high on the totals, so I don't expect it to back off too much. So let's take a look here. All right, here they come in. All right, take home. Not much difference. You know what? I'm going to do something for you. Let's go to, what do I want? I've got 84 hours out. So this would be Wednesday morning. All right, I'm going to show you how you can compare a model trend. Like, in other words, same model, and how has it adjusted its totals? Okay, we're going all the way back to the 19th, a couple days ago. All right, all the snow was up in north and west of us. Then it decided to jump and all of a sudden put it south and east of us. Then it went back up to the north of us. Then it went to the northeast side and east side. All right, then back up to the north and the west side and central. Now it's going nuts. West, central, east. This is when everybody started getting really excited in the weather community. There it is all over the place, going big winter storm. Everybody's tweeting with just tears of joy. And then the next one comes in. Oh, it's starting to just slip to the south. There's some dryness coming over to the north. Oh, no. And then another one comes in. All right, keeps the same track, but now it's playing with numbers. What happened to those feet of snow? They're gone. Oh, even less snowfall totals, but the trend remains highest in the south and east, lowest in the north. There's the next one that comes in, and then the final one. So in the last 24 hours, there has been no significant deviation in the model output, meaning that it has settled down, and it is confident that this is what's going to happen. Now, it may be wrong, but it is confident it's going to be wrong in this fashion. So again, we're looking at this favored region in this zone for your heaviest snow. Now, we'll caution you guys here in Tulsa. It's going to be interesting because you guys will be on the, just like Oklahoma City, you're going to be in the line of feast and famine. Like northern Tulsa County, you guys may end up being in like the 1 to 2 inch category. Maybe South Tulsa County is like 6, something like that. I did pull in this data here for Tulsa. Let me try that out here. All right, and the NAM for you. Just again, the NAM is not a good model for snow totals, but for the environment itself, it looks good. It's got some stout lift with temperatures right about 1 degree, but not until about 6 o'clock in the evening. So your transition of snow, you may have a little bit more rain mixed in earlier on, but very, very light stuff. Your main show isn't until the late afternoon, and then during the evening hours up to about midnight. But with no insulation from the sun, you get the chance to be another degree colder. So you got to get a trade-off there. You have a smaller window of precipitation, but it's at a more favorable time. If we look at the... Oh, that's what I was going to look at, and I forgot all about that. Let me, before I do you on this one, let me see if I can... What we have on this guy here. Okay, it does go out just far enough. Okay. So this is one of our... It's just an ensemble run that will give you a very conservative number usually when it comes to snow, and it's not bad. All right, it's a pretty good blend of a lot of the operational models that we use. So what its take home is kind of similar to the rest, and I'm at the total snowfall with the mean of a 10-to-1 ratio. So its take home, just like the rest, hot spot here, kind of a hot spot down in here. Now it's a little more to the north, so it does include the metro here, Oklahoma City, of 4 to 4.5 inches of snow, and in Tulsa 3 to 4 inches of snow. But obviously the higher amounts just south of town between us and the Red River. So it's a little bit more on the north side. Also, it favors a higher output here in western Oklahoma, so it seems to think that temperatures will be cold enough for the majority of the event to get better amounts out here in western Oklahoma for the first part of the event on Tuesday morning. Let's take a look at snow depth. Now this is where reality has to kick in. And you're like, well, what is snow depth? Well, you're going to go measure right after it's melted and stuff. So 2 inches. So hot spot though here in the Ozarks, there's 4 inches. But the trend still remains, that's kind of where the heavier snow will be. Let's see, that is the positive change. Let's see. Change in snow depth during the model run without considering negative changes, melting and sublimation. For instance models, this may be the best estimate of total snow accumulation on ground surfaces, although it may include sleet. No, we're not dealing with sleet this time around. So it likes the idea of what you get left over when you go out there to measure it with the ruler, is all I'm saying on that data. All right, but at least the good news is it thinks it's going to snow, that the temperatures won't be an issue. So that's good. And the probabilities on it for greater than 4 inches, about 50%. It's kind of in line with the European was showing. Obviously, it thinks for snowfall amounts greater than 1 inch is not a problem. It's up in the upper 80s to 90s to near 100% certainty. So it's good. I mean, it's about as good as you can get when you have such a critical event like this where you're just a couple of degrees above freezing at the surface and everything else is above is way below, and you just don't want that snow to melt on its last 1,000 feet down. It doesn't do anybody good when it's snowing to beat the band at 1,000 feet and it all melts at 500 feet halfway here, and then we just get a cold raindrop. So that just makes everybody upset, including me. Anyway, all right. That was a very long, extended forecast, and we went really detailed. So thanks for hanging in there, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. She was, I can't read the totals. Well, don't worry, because those totals are going to change anyway. Let's see. I'm going to look at some of your comments on here. It looks like Jody's been active in the comment section. Hillary, thank you for the stars tonight, by the way. Let's see. I have to look on my phone for the comments because I can't go on the page on the computer because then they all disappear. For whatever reason, the phone will hold them. I don't know what Facebook does, but it is what it is. Let's see. I'm claiming 1 foot and more. Angela. She's preaching it. All right, so where do we go from here? All right, the bottom line is you can be more excited that we're going to get some snow. You can be excited that it's measurable snow. All right, and you can be excited that most of that snow is late afternoon, evening in the measurable department, which means you can be excited that you'll be able to get through most of your stuff you've got to do on Tuesday with no problem as far as roadways go and driving around. Across the majority of central and northeast Oklahoma. West and southwest, that might be a different story. Again, there'll be enough snow that might overcome the melting. But that's what you can be certain with for today. You can be certain that model confidence is fairly high for the track so far, of it kind of staying where it is. There's still some wiggle room there, and that can shift the heavier snow band a little bit north and south. Right now, if you were to blend them all together, the heaviest band is between Oklahoma City and Ardmore, and then kind of stretching up through McAllister, Fort Smith, and then northwestern Arkansas. Like we said, the actual totals are always going to be fun to kind of figure out. And as we go through Sunday night's data, we'll have a pretty good amount of what they should be in theory. Then on Monday, it's the best stab we got, because then the next day is the event itself. So Monday shouldn't be too different from Sunday. So Sunday should be a little bit better than today. Everything should kind of calm down. And then the only thing, again, that's going to mess this up is if we get too much cold rain mixed in for the majority of the event before it does eventually get cold enough to have all snow. And that will help to limit your totals. It'll still snow. It's just, there'll be a lot of people grumbling and complaining because it ain't snowing at their house at 1:25 in the afternoon when they were promised snow at 9 a.m. So that kind of stuff, though, those details, they're tough to nail down on those kind of timing. So look for probably Monday's data to get that type of fine tune in the event as far as the timeline goes of transition times. So that should be able to give us a good idea then. And in some cases, which are very hard, where you've got these little fine lines where the temperatures just don't play nice. Sometimes you have to be the day of, and that's horrible because that's technically, it's not really forecasting. It's super short-term forecasting, or what we call nowcasting. Nowcasting means what's happening now. So I don't know why they put the cast on there, because that should be crap casting. Because you didn't do a good enough job. Now you got to go to a nowcasting. What can cause that is the fact we don't have enough stations for sampling in the atmosphere. Usually when it comes time to events that there's a lot of warm air advection that can happen around 3,000 to 6,000 feet, somewhere in there. And so that bit of data is missing. We don't know it all. And that's what leads to those big busts. The temperatures in the morning and the dew points, which will come together. So you have the temperature, the temp and the dew will meet in the middle. We call it the wet bulb temperature. So the map in the morning on Tuesday morning, that will tell us where we are with, how far we got to go to get it to be all snow. And dynamically driven temperatures to cool the column. We know that's going to happen just because of the pattern of the low. So there it's just kind of like, okay, do we have to cool down from 38 or do we have to cool down from 34? So that kind of stuff won't be known probably until Tuesday morning, and that's kind of in that very, very short-term forecast when you're kind of nailing things down very specific. We'll get a good idea Monday evening, with those temperatures there, and then we'll see if there's any what we call advection. Advection is movement, one direction or another, of either drier air, like dew point values, or moisture, or temperatures, right? So we can see if there's any, like if there's a north wind, a northeast wind, northwest wind that's bringing in, slightly cooler temperatures, that would be cold air advection. So we can see if there's any of that left over on Monday night, right, to set us up for Tuesday. Because a lot of times these systems get cranking down across like New Mexico and in western Texas that causes the surface flow to come more out of the northeast. And so you can get some residual cold air from the Midwest, Central Plains, kind of come in and rotate down into Oklahoma, kind of backdoor in, we say, to kind of help to keep those temperatures a little cooler. So that's what you have to look forward to, and that will kind of be more known on Monday, and then, of course, the day of the event. But those are all type of things that forecasters like the National Weather Service have to look at in shift work, right? And each guy comes in, they do pretty much everything I kind of just showed you, plus a lot more. And then they monitor those changes, they leave notes for the next guy that comes in, and then they look at it, and they kind of go from there, kind of hand the forecast off. But on these type of events, I mean, they're fun. Let me think if there's anything else I want to show you. Oh, yeah. Let me see. I haven't pulled this up in a long time, and it may not be worth looking at, but we're going to do it. I just got to find it. The deal is, I don't get to do a lot of winter weather forecasts and discussions around here, believe it or not. We get, like 2 or 3 a year maybe, and then they're gone and forgotten about. So it's not something that's always pulled up every time. Okay, so here we go. Let me see if it's even far enough to include. Okay, here it is. All right, this is the experimental winter storm outlook, all right, for snow. And as you can imagine, Weather Service is highlighting these areas here across Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and on into Arkansas. Well, they really love Northwest Arkansas. For this would be probability of exceeding a warning criteria for snow. So there you go, 80%, 50 to 80% out here in the Panhandle, and almost greater than 80% up here in northwestern Arkansas. So warning criteria for snow, that means they'll put out some type of warning, beyond an advisory. An advisory is like a winter weather advisory. Hey, let's get a little bit of snow, not necessarily a big deal, expect about an inch. Whereas a warning would be heavy snow, accumulating rates of 1 inch or 2 inches per hour, and may expect accumulations of 6 to 8 inches, cold winds, life-threatening, that kind of stuff. Those would be the warning criteria that they would use in different products. And then we'll see if this changes any as confidence increases or whatever. Anyway, so that was one thing I was going to look for to see that was there. Let me see if there was anything else. Look into my arsenal of products. I don't believe so. I will look over tomorrow to see if there's anything I can show you that's different from what we've already kind of looked at, and then go from there. But that's about it here for tonight. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday night, and I hope you have a great Sunday. And don't work too hard if you do have to work over the weekend. Don't be like me. Sometimes I gotta work 24/7, 365. But that's okay. Let me see. Looking at YouTube guys here real quick before I let you go. Pam from Elk City was checking in tonight. So Elk City be one of the first ones to get the snow on Tuesday morning. Minoki caught the morning coffee video a little too late. But you did watch the first 3 to 4 episodes on YouTube. Awesome, you bet. She says great information. So, yeah, if you guys missed it, on Saturday mornings, Jody and I do coffee talk for real estate. So we talk about the latest in the market, interest rates, and the homes that have been moving here in the greater Oklahoma City metro area and central Oklahoma. And then we usually give a topic of the day that is going to educate you on anything about owning a home, purchasing a home, selling a home, that kind of deal. So, for example, we talked about roofing with Jamie Ferguson last weekend. So each weekend we provide value with that. So if you ever want to check it out, it's on Team Tuttle Realty, and you can do that on YouTube, you can do it on Facebook. We're on Twitter as well, and so we're going to keep building that up, and that way if you need any services in that department, let us know. Jody's been doing real estate for 13 years. So I got my license last summer to help her out and to kind of get this thing going. Because you have to have a license to be able to say a lot of things and do a lot of things. So that's kind of the reason why I got into it, just to help her out. Because she doesn't need my help other than than just making it official legal, so we don't get in trouble. But yeah, I'll help her out on some of the deals, and but that's what she does. That's her passion, so it's good for her. I got my hands full on a lot of other stuff too. So I got 3 jobs now. I'm gonna go for 4, but it keeps me out of trouble. But yeah, so if you guys check us out on those platforms, like and share the page, all that kind of stuff, just like on this one for the weather, and we'll help you out there. Our next live interview will be this Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning. It will be with a mortgage lender, so that way you can learn everything about that process, about credit, what to do, what not to do. If you can get away with certain things, before buying a home, maybe you wanted to buy a car at the same time, and the lender tells you don't do that, and you do it anyway. Can you get away with it? Will they catch you? So we're gonna dive into those kind of questions, and you're gonna find a lot of stuff that you're gonna need to know the next time you want to go through that process. And then we'll have like people on that for all kinds of things inside the home, that you're gonna need to know about. So we got endless topics to discuss. So that'll be fun. And Jamie Ferguson, who's been a sponsor here on AT's Weather, is also sponsoring us on Team Tuttle Realty. So it's very nice of him to do so. I've known Jamie for years, so it was a good interview with him and a great company. So looking forward to continue that relationship, and good people. All right, I gotta get out of here because I got things to do too. It's 10:30, so you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy. We'll touch base with you again tomorrow. I'll do a blog, so you can read that one as well sometime in the afternoon or evening. We may go to the Home and Garden show, so if you see us around, come say hi, and then we'll go from there on the winter storm, to be or not to be. All right, guys, have a good night. Sleep well. See ya.